My stomach hurts. Welcome to Baddies for the People. I'm Rachel Pearl Jacobs.
And I'm Cheyenne Hunt.
And we're your resident baddies.
Let's get into it.
Welcome back, baddies. It's time for What's the Tea with Me, where Cheyenne and I tell you what's going on in our lives. Cheyenne, what's the tea with you this week?
It's been a weird week, really a weird couple of weeks. It started last week when I shared that I had posted this video that went viral and got support from all kinds of celebrities like Katy to Elizabeth Banks, not Elizabeth Holmes. And that was like a really great, inspiring experience on the internet. This week, I've had kind of the opposite. I posted a video talking about the Trump tariffs that went to the wrong side, specifically of Instagram, but it was also my most viral thing I've ever shared. It's got close to 5 million views now.
It went MAGA viral.
Yeah, it went MAGA viral though. So it's bittersweet. It's really strange. I don't think that any human being is meant to receive close to 10,000 comments that are like all negative in the span of 24 to 48 hours.
About her nose.
Yeah, well, so that's the thing, right? Is there's a couple of categories that these comments fall into. People who fundamentally like don't understand politics, who are clearly like in the Donald Trump cult of personality, so it doesn't matter what you say, like they're going to defend him. And those are like easier to excuse because it's, I don't know, not me invoking religious language. I was about to say like forgive them for they know not what they do. But then there's this whole other universe of comments that I get every time something tends to go viral on the wrong side. I mean, basically white supremacist comments. It's incredible how they have a way of zeroing in on the things that expose me as not being entirely white. I'm white on one side, I'm Arabic on the other, Syrian and Lebanese specifically. And it's like these MAGA people have like a spidey sense for my not white features. I get comments about my nose and comments about my eyebrows that are so incredibly racist. Also, it's interesting, a lot of them are anti-Semitic. Like, I'm not Jewish at all, but they just look at my nose and assume that I am.
That's so interesting. I would never say you had a Jew nose. What? People in my family, like, we talk about, like, we have Jew noses and, like, there's this thing, like, at the end of your nose that, like, kind of...
The crook?
Yeah, the crook. I definitely have the crook, and you don't.
Yeah, I think people are really, like, bad and unspecific with their racism, right? Like, they're not... It's not scientifically well informed. And so my, like, Arab hump gets, like, lumped in with the crook. I don't know.
What is a white nose?
I don't know, but official policy of the podcast is that people need to step up their game. Racists are falling behind and getting wrong.
Yeah, get me more correct with your racism. Yeah. You know, it is interesting, though, because these are things that I've been insecure about since I was a little kid. I grew up in a very rural, predominantly white area. And so comments about my nose, the thickness of my eyebrows are things that I've been getting my whole life. If I don't thread them, like I do get a unibrow. I had one as a kid. And it brings up a lot of that for me. Especially, like I said, it's like, there's no way that we evolved like from cavemen to like an agricultural society where a normal human being interacts with maybe 1,000 people in their entire life. Like, we are not evolved to receive that many opinions and that much criticism in that amount of time. It's like actually insane. Even if you know these people are stupid and they're white supremacists, it's like very overwhelming. And I had to, like, for my own mental well-being, disable all my notifications, because I'm telling you, every minute my phone was vibrating. Like, every minute I was getting hate comments. Like, I couldn't put my phone down. It was making like so much noise. So as much as like that brought all this up for me again, I also refuse to take on, like, this is not my shame. This is not my problem. And I get the Arabic side from my grandmother, who is the love of my life. And I took care of her until the day that she died. And I look at it now, like, those are the traces of her that got left behind on my face, the person that was the love of my life. And so I refuse to hate that. I wanted a nose job like my whole life. And I will not let like white supremacist beauty standards be the thing that manipulate me into hating like a gift that the person that I loved most in the world gave me. And so it brought kind of all of that back up again, but I got to relate to it differently because I really had to make a choice. Like, am I going to let this into my psyche or not? And so, yeah, it was really interesting. It was like the complete opposite end of an experience to have on social media, right? Sometimes things can go viral and you get a lot of like love and praise and support. Other times you get this. And I think my Buddhist sensibilities are we shouldn't actually really engage with either side all that much. And it's not great for the ego to be bathed in praise or in criticism. But yeah, I don't know. That's my tea. I've been thinking about it a lot, and I have been turning my notifications off a lot these days.
So I think it's really great that you're at a stage in your life where you can pause and reflect and not internalize the negative things that people say about you. When you were sharing, I started thinking about, you know, initially when we talked about starting this podcast, how I shared that I preferred to like kind of be and like stay in the background, and how I didn't have like very public facing accounts because of my experience being cyberbullied as a young person. And I think it really speaks to your maturity to be able to pause and understand that those comments are not a reflection of who you are. It's a reflection of those people and their unhappiness, because, you know, maybe the internet really isn't for kids because we don't have the capacity to do that as children.
It's like not. I used to work on bills to try and find ways to keep kids off the internet. And it's complicated because sometimes the internet is the only place where like queer kids can find community, and that kind of representation is important. But at the same time, like the modern internet, which is driven to create and promote outrageous content and to drive people to be really, really just and awful to each other.
And
like,
reinforce white supremacy.
Yeah, that's not for kids at all. And it's honestly not for human beings. Like, it's not, this is not like, it hijacks our brains. It was developed in conjunction. A lot of people don't know this. It was developed in conjunction with social scientists and with neurologists to literally hijack your neural pathways so that you stay on it more. Yeah.
I mean, it can also be used as a tool. It's just like.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason I'm still on it, right? Yeah. Like, I wouldn't keep doing this if I thought that it was all bad. Like, you have to be willing to talk to people where they are, and there are like important messages and advocacy work that has to get done, and a lot of people are only listening to it on social media, but there's a price you pay.
I also think you should always have your social media notifications off, and I'm shocked that you have them on with as public facing as you are.
Low-key this week, I like really thought about that. I turned them off and was like, whoa, this is liberating. Like, I can just check this when I want to check this. Like,
absolutely.
The other thing that's really like broken about Instagram is like, if you have something go viral, it will individually notify you of every single like, comment, share, whatever. And that's like insane. With TikTok, once you get past a certain like threshold of notification volume, it stops telling you. And when you click the app, it will show you all of it because it understands that like a person can't live that way. Like, it's not functional to have your phone basically become a vibrator. Like, that's not something that.
What are you doing with your phone?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, my tea.
Yeah, Rachel, what's your tea? We've clearly gone off the rails here. So please tell us, what's the tea with you this week?
The tea with me this week is that I tell the future. I knew it was time to go back to recession blonde looks, okay? So that means I brought my roots back and kept blonde at the tips to keep it low maintenance and less costly, because now we are coming into what looks like a really difficult time in the market. And all of this got me thinking about what is the first thing to go in financial hardship? And will self-care survive this market crash?
It's an interesting question. I think it will, because have you ever heard of the lipstick index?
No.
Essentially, it's a measure of whether or not a recession is coming, and economists will refer to it. If sales of lipstick or other like lower priced beauty products start to skyrocket, it's a sign that a recession is coming, because people are under pressure and stress and they're trying to take care of themselves. And so they're actually more likely to buy something that's like a small self-care splurge when we're facing a recession than if we're not. That being said, I don't actually think that like lipstick is self-care. I think that we conflate beauty and conforming to beauty standards and like grooming ourselves, especially women, like conflate this with self-care, which are like things that you do for your wellness and your mental health and your physical health. I think those things are probably pretty likely to go because they're expensive, like quality food or your gym membership. And so it is a really big question. Like, will people still be able to take care of themselves, especially with these specific economic things we're looking at, like the prices of food going up?
I just also think about how this will impact the services that we consider to be extras, whether that's getting a massage or getting your nails done, and how that is going to impact the economy, but also how that is going to impact your mental health. Should you be getting a massage and a facial every single month, regardless of if you feel like you have the financial freedom to do so? Because I don't know. As someone who defaults to, when I'm feeling concerned about money, going into like hoarder mode and not doing the things that are caring for myself, that's something that I'm really going to have to try to be conscious of in this next season. So with that, Cheyenne, what made you cringe this week?
Okay, it's time for cringe, where we talk about the things that made us cringe this week. There were so many for me that we're going to do a lightning round. Number one, Secretary of Education Linda McMahon at a conference for AI, sitting on a panel with a bunch of AI CEOs, said she wants to incorporate A1 steak sauce into our schools. And no one corrected her because all of these CEOs are so busy trying to curry favor from the Trump administration to get investments and contracts and avoid regulation that they just left it out there. So that's first.
Wait, I thought we were closing the Department of Education.
Yeah, I don't know. They don't know what they're doing.
Okay, bet.
Also, wait, because I have a comment on this story in particular. Like, at first, when you put it in the outline, I thought that it was like, oh, she like did a gaffe like one time. And I was like, well, you know, that can happen. Like, that's not a crazy thing. And then I realized that she had, like, reading in the article, that she had done it consistently throughout the entire speech, which raises really weird questions. Like,
who wrote her speech?
Well, I think probably what happened is that the way that it's like written, you see AI and you mistake the I for a 1. But if you know anything about what AI is, like, not even, I don't mean like at a technical level. I mean, like, if you know that AI stands for artificial intelligence, and if you know that that's the technology that's on everyone's minds, then you would make that, like, you'd make the right jump in your head. So she just has no idea what AI stands for or what artificial intelligence is, like as a word.
And she was on a panel like with other people who were talking about it, and so she still didn't like course correct. The whole thing is crazy. Number two, Trump posted on Truth Social telling his followers now is a great time to buy stocks, just hours before putting a pause on almost all of his tariffs. This is basically the largest act of insider trading, white collar crime we have seen. I honestly don't even know since when. And if you think that that's, you know, a stretch, some of his closest allies made huge sums of money off of trades that they made in that period, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, who disclosed stock trades on companies that would be exempt from the tariffs just hours after she made those purchases. So they robbed people. They essentially redistributed wealth from the middle class, from people's retirement accounts, into the hands of the 1% and their buddies.
Didn't Trump make like some short video in the Oval Office, like congratulating the people around him for making massive amounts of money?
Yeah, in that period of time, he did. He talked about how that guy just made $2 billion.
Yeah, that's insane.
But where did that $2 billion come from? It came from the stuff that people who were so terrified to lose their entire life savings, their entire retirement account, had to sell off to protect that little bit of money that they were so afraid was going to be gone. And now it's in Elon Musk's pocket. And lastly, to combat the rumors that he falsifies his gaming stats, Elon Musk hosted a gaming live stream where he proceeded to die in the tutorial phase of the game and got bullied so bad in the comments that he rage quit like a child. And this is right after his daughter, the one that he like disowned for being trans, came out and said she knows for a fact he falsifies all of those gaming stats. What I don't understand is, if you know you suck, why would you get on a live stream?
right? There's so many other options. You could have had an assistant like shadow play as you, like from somewhere hidden.
But yeah, there were so many other choices here, and it's definitely not giving like smartest man on earth. Like, please, everybody wake up to the fact that that part of it is the con. He's just an insecure douchebag nerd.
Man-child.
All right, that's the end of lightning round for me. I know that was a lot, but I couldn't just pick one thing. So that was what I'm cringing at this week. Rachel, what are you cringing at?
So this week and the Supreme Court's immigration decisions really sent me back to about a month ago when Trump reached out to the victims of white genocide from South Africa and offered them the opportunity to come and be in the United States.
I forgot about that. And I feel like so many people forgot about that. Like, it just got buried under the onslaught of other crazy stuff Trump was doing about a month ago with all the executive orders. But that weighed against like all of these insane immigration raids is kind of crazy. You started this by talking about the Supreme Court decisions, which I feel like we can't not mention the fact that there was a 9-0 decision against the Trump administration, which is pretty unheard of. Like, when you are so radical that even Clarence Thomas says you've gone too far, we should all open our eyes. And this was a decision about the Trump administration's unwillingness to make attempts to bring back a person that they wrongfully deported to El Salvador, someone that was not a gang member, was not a criminal, and was actually under legal protections preventing him from being deported. And the court essentially said what the Trump administration is arguing here is that they should be able to deport whoever they want, including United States citizens, so long as they can do so before a court can intervene, which is terrifying.
I did not feel like it was that strongly stated at all. I actually think that it's going to go back to the Supreme Court because of the vague language, because the Trump's Justice Department is going to be like, okay, how do we effectuate bringing him back?
Oh, it'll totally go back, because the part that's strongly worded is when they call out like the argument that the administration is attempting to make. The actual order that they gave was pretty spineless. It was like the Trump administration has to make reasonable attempts to get him back, which, like, what does that mean? Who are they reporting to? In what timeline? What counts as reasonable? And, you know, one of the things that any lawyer will tell you is reasonable, the reasonableness standard. There's a whole huge universe of things you can argue are reasonable, and that doesn't necessarily have like a layperson's meaning to it. So yeah, it's almost certain to me that they will do nothing and argue that that's reasonable, and it will go back up.
The other Supreme Court decision said that Trump is allowed to continue to deport people under the Alien Enemies Act. Well, he's allowed to detain people under the Alien Enemies Act, but they have to get due process before being deported.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
I'm
sick of this.
You heard it here. Rachel's sick of this and that's what we're cringing at this week.
Cheyenne's about to tell us her vibe for the week, where we talk about how politics and pop culture intersect. Cheyenne, what's your vibe this week?
Gatekeep, girl boss, go to space. My vibe is this crew of random women that we're shooting right now the day before they are set to take off into space. So I don't know what's going to happen. And if something catastrophic occurs, obviously that's why I'm not talking about it, because I don't know. But there's a crew of women set to take off on a Blue Origin penis-shaped rocket by Jeff Bezos.
Wait, so these aren't Elon Musk's DEI hires?
No, these are these are Jeff Bezos's popularity hires. We've got Katy Perry. We've got Gayle King.
Wait,
we've got
for real?
Yes, we've got Jeff Bezos's girlfriend. These are the people, and there are some like random scientists that are thrown in that mix too. The big PR thing is that it's an all-woman crew, 6 of them, but 3 of them are just like random women. And the space flight is like 11 minutes. It's going to cost millions and millions of dollars. And interestingly, you know, I think a lot of us are looking at this going, my God, that's so wasteful. The voice of reason talking about this on primetime television seemed to be Olivia Munn, who in an interview with, I believe, Jenna Bush may have been someone else on morning television, said, let me pull up the quote specifically because she was actually like, it's refreshing to see a celebrity acknowledge how obnoxious other celebrities can be. This is what she said when she was asked about it. What's the point? Is it historic that you guys are going on a ride? I think it's gluttonous. If you want to go to space, why do you need to tell us about it? Just go up there, have a good time, come down. I know this is probably obnoxious, but it's so much money to go to space, and there's a lot of people who can't even afford eggs. And I think that's very true. This is clearly not about scientific discovery. You wouldn't be sending 3 random women on this flight to do that. This is not, there is no purpose to this other than to put out a press release that they've sent some like group of women to space for Jeff Bezos on one of his rockets. So I don't get it. It's also, you know what it's giving for me is the group of rich people that went down in the submarine to go look at the Titanic. It's like, for what? Like, what? What are you doing this? And it's so dangerous. Like, it's not like we figured this out. This is like not something that we have figured out in a way that's foolproof in any way yet. So like, why are we blasting random people off to space right now? And that's my vibes. Rachel, what are you vibing off of this week?
This week, the police in Los Angeles showed their disregard for Black lives by literally getting into a shootout with this white woman author. Her name's Jillian Lauren. Her husband is in the band Weezer or something. But basically what happened was there was a hit and run. The police are chasing these suspects through Eagle Rock, which is like, for those of you who don't know, like a pretty wealthy part of Los Angeles. And the woman starts shooting at the suspect allegedly because he was trying to break into her house. And she ends up shooting at the police, who then shoot her, but only in the shoulder. And in the end, everyone was fine. They are charging her with attempted murder. But my point here is that they knew this woman had a loaded weapon. She had shot at them, but they were still able to keep calm and use the discretion to not fatally kill her.
Yeah, it happens all the time, so frequently, where even like white mass shooters are brought in alive, and people who are accused of something nonviolent are shot in cold blood. Because
or
they're Black.
Hunted, chased down.
Yeah.
But on to some messier vibes. Mickey Rourke got in trouble because he's a homophobe and just said the most homophobic ever to JoJo Siwa, and it's weird.
It is really weird in this day and age. Like, we were talking about it a lot this weekend, and I was in such disbelief because did he call her like the F slur to her face? Is that what happened?
He said he was going to vote the lesbian out real quick. He said, if I stay longer than 4 days, you won't be gay anymore.
That's like a threat. Ew.
He said, I need a fag. I'm not talking to you, in reference to like a cigarette. He responded, I apologize. I don't have dishonorable intentions. I'm just talking smack, you know? Like, I just really wonder about old white men. Like, you have to go out of your way to be this overtly prejudiced.
It's also interesting to me, the defense is like, I don't mean ill will. It's like, you're using slurs. Those are like inherently harmful pieces of language. Like, what do you mean?
It's okay to use a slur as long as you don't mean it.
It becomes so normal for them to be able to speak about people this way that are of lower social status that they don't even connect in their brain that that's harm, that is inherently doing harm. They just think that that's like just how you talk, and it doesn't necessarily have to mean anything, but like it does.
I think they should just vote him off for being a homophobe just to make a point.
Even though he's already gotten kicked off?
Well, I don't follow the show like that, so I don't know
they
that.
removed him. It wasn't like he got voted off. The producers like pulled him.
I thought they were threatening to pull him.
No, they did.
No, they didn't remove him for the comments. They removed him because he then later got in an altercation with another male member of the House, and they didn't fight, but he did use threatening language, and so that's why they kicked him out.
Clearly he's on drugs.
Yeah, I mean, I look at him. I feel like that's pretty obvious.
Also, it's like kind of crazy that they decided to have Mickey Rourke on Celebrity, like Big Brother anyway.
UK? Celebrity Big Brother UK?
either
Jojo C was there, so
I know the whole thing's weird.
yeah, but like either way, because it's like this is a guy who like has a pretty extensive history of like allegations of domestic abuse already,
really?
and so then to just like put him in a house with other people and like him
Let's see what happens.
him threatening another dude on set does not surprise me.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. This is why we should always keep a running list of predators and never forget.
Yeah, dude. We should do that episode one day because we did a touch of it like early on where I was like telling Rachel about all these people that were predators that she didn't know about, like Jerry Seinfeld and I don't know who else, but that could just be like a great reminder is like Me Too was not just a moment. It's a movement that goes on and we're going to name all you
Anyway, now we are transitioning to something a little less low vibrational. Those were the vibes. Cheyenne, let's get into today's deep dive. On this week's deep dive.
No, I'm bringing it in.
Okay.
Because you don't even know. I'm going to tell you the rules. I'm so excited. On this week's deep dive, we are taking, this is like Baddies for the People spring break. Okay. We're not going to have a lecture. We're not doing class. You're going to get to know us. We're going to be deep diving and we're going to be playing a game. And also wouldn't be Baddies for the People if I didn't come up with some kind of ridiculous structure for this, because that's what we have to have. So, Rachel, she doesn't even know how this is going to go. Are you ready?
Sure.
What we are going to do is we are going to be taking questions out of this really gaudy hat that I found in my mom's closet. Okay, and we're going to alternate back and forth, taking these random questions and asking each other these random questions. Here are the rules. Are you ready?
Sure.
You look so skeptical.
Wait, is your mom Carmen Sandiego?
No, but aesthetically similar. So you have to try and answer as soon as the question has finished. No long pauses. We're going authentic reaction right off the top of your head. It's going to be a constant flow.
Okay.
And we each have what I'm calling 2 Uno reverse cards, where through the course of this game, if you get a question and I would pull a question, I would ask it to you. You can answer the question, but you can also Uno reverse. And after you've answered, make me also answer the same question. Some of these are more interesting, spicier than others. So think carefully about which one, like how you want to spend that Uno reverse.
I'm very concerned. Okay.
Okay, here we go. Ready? Do you have a favorite podcast other than this one?
No. I don't really listen to other people. Actually, there's this one podcast that I think is hilarious. It's called it's like the game show or something. And they have to read out these sayings and not laugh. And they have to go, so I like that one.
Okay, great. Your turn.
If you could wake up tomorrow with one new ability or skill, what would it be?
Honestly, I think it would be to like be able to calm the down. It's like not even a joke. Like if I had a new ability or skill, it would be able to like stop, like take my nervous system just down a level, like immediately, and mentally and physically, just like to have that much control over like my mind and body.
Sounds like you need to do a vagus nerve reset.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but I think I need to like probably learn about it.
Yeah.
I also thought like you said like Vegas, like Vegas.
No,
as if I could like
Vegus.
Like go rage in Vegas and like reset my nerves. I'm like, maybe.
That's funny. I'm asking you, right?
No.
Wait, no, this is another question I have for you, though.
You just asked me.
Hold on, I'm asking you another one, bro.
No.
Yes. Do you believe in chiropractors?
No, I don't. Chiropractic is mostly pseudoscience.
So you don't go to chiropractors?
I go to an acupuncturist who does like Chinese chiropractic, which is massage.
Yeah, I'm 100% down for the chiropractors. I'm a crackalicious. So I don't even know how I feel about you right now.
Dude, look it up. It's like not science.
It feels nice.
Hey, anything that puts people out of pain, I'm here for, except for when it puts people in danger. And the way that you can like
everything.
you can become paralyzed very easily from when they crack your neck.
You can become paralyzed very easily from lots of shit people do.
Next question for you. What is the accomplishment you are most proud of so far in your life?
What the are these questions, bro? This is so deep. What's the accomplishment I'm most proud of? I have no idea because I am a psycho who is always reaching towards the next thing.
Yeah.
So I don't really dwell on my accomplishments. I am always looking forward towards what I can accomplish next.
But if you gave yourself credit for something really hard you've done, what would you be proud of?
I would say my biggest accomplishment is getting out of Northern Virginia alive. Growing up in Fairfax was very, very hard on me. And even though I always had big goals and aspirations, during some points of high school, I literally didn't know if I was going to survive. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And now all you motherfuckers are basic and I'm living my best life in LA. So really, God bless. My turn. What's one thing about you that feels totally out of alignment with your general character or personality?
Oh, that's interesting.
I have a really funny answer to this, but
I feel like mine is like I am ruthlessly analytical about a lot of things and like I want the evidence for everything and I'm very I don't know, like my mom hates it. Like I'm just obnoxiously literal and analytical and I overthink everything. And there's also a part of me that can access a sense of just like surrender. And I do buy in a little bit to like maybe there are forces acting upon me and the rest of us that are larger than what I can understand and what's meant to be will be. And it is kind of like really weird in conjunction to the rest of like how I am. But I would say that's pretty like inconsistent.
Being spiritual and logical?
Yeah.
I don't really know about that. I was going to say, for me, it's definitely
Rachel wants to talk.
Personality in relationships. I'm 100% answering this question myself. Like, I'm very demure and very mindful in relationships. I'm definitely more of the
when are you demure and mindful
submissive one in my relationships, in like my romantic relationships.
That is weird. I haven't seen that because you haven't been with anybody since I've known you.
Yeah, so that's what's totally out of alignment with my general character or personality. But it's really not, because I'm actually just a really nice, genuine person
that wants a nice Republican man.
No, bro, I do not. I just like some of the like caricature types of what those features are. Mm-hmm. Okay. Wait, isn't it my turn? Oh, never mind.
No, you wanted to hear yourself talk, so you answered my question too. What's your go-to way to procrastinate?
Oh, my go-to way of procrastinating is like fake cleaning up. So I like everything will be a mess, and then if I don't want to do something, I'll be like, okay, I'm like picking these things up, you know, like reorganizing, putting things away, but like I'm not really doing shit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I do the same thing, and all of a sudden it becomes urgent that has to get done right now. Like I can't possibly work on this thing until I rearrange my coffee table.
And people are like, you're always cleaning, because I'm always just leaving places. Okay, what's your hometown? And then what's your favorite thing about your hometown?
I grew up in like the middle of nowhere in Northern California, specifically like Lake County, California. There were a lot of really rough things about growing up there. But my favorite thing about it is that it is like jaw-droppingly gorgeous. It's so pretty. It's the largest natural lake in the state, and it's so green and so lush. And I took it for granted growing up there, because you just kind of do. I think a lot of people, like, you don't notice what's nice about where you are, especially when you grow up there. And yeah, there were small town benefits like small school and stuff like that, but I was definitely, my mom pulling me out of there right before high school was the correct choice. That's for sure. That was when we moved down here to Southern California.
Interesting. I've always been a star, so it doesn't matter where I am. I could small town, big town, it would still
Jesus
just be
Christ.
all eyes on me.
Pull out your phone.
Okay.
What are the top 3 most recent things in your internet search history?
Okay, so maps of LA gang territories.
Quit editing it. What are the
I'm not.
two
It's
right
like
below that?
juvenile probation report. A lot of them are just like random websites.
Yeah.
It doesn't like say what it actually is. 2021 California DOJ settlement.
Boring.
Yeah. I'm boring. What's the weirdest thing you've ever done for a job?
I wrote part of my boss's book, and I didn't know that that's what I was doing. He like told me he wanted me to do this like writing assignment on this topic, and I just like assumed it was for the website, or maybe he wanted it, I don't know, to go to the press team. And like the next thing I know, it was in his book. And it was like portrayed as his own.
Okay, unknown ghostwriter.
Yeah. Yeah, really weird. Not my favorite thing. When was the first time you ever asked yourself, am I getting old?
I realize people don't know what VHSs are. Like,
yeah, you said that on the podcast. You said something about VHS, and I was like, they have no idea.
So, or even DVD players are kind of a foreign concept to.
Oh, also on the podcast, you talked about how you were convinced that Gen Zers knew about Hillary's emails in Benghazi. And right after that, I went and got my nails done, and the girl next to me was Gen Z, and the girl doing her nails was Gen Z. And I said, do you guys remember Hillary's email scandal? And they were like, no, we have no idea. I said, does the word Benghazi mean anything to you? They were like, no idea.
Dude, we were in college.
Yeah, but we're like the oldest of Gen Z. I'm literally as old as it gets for Gen Zers.
I've always just been a trendsetter. This is just another way it's manifesting. If you could selectively erase any of your memories, would you do it?
No, I don't think I would. And there are plenty of things that I remember that are like deeply unpleasant from my life, but I think we don't fully understand like the butterfly effect that getting rid of the really difficult traumatic things that have happened to us would have on who we grow to be as people. And I also think trauma can make you empathetic and a better, more supportive, kind human being. It also can completely like disrupt everything, but at least for me personally, I don't think I want to risk losing the perspective I have now by like selectively removing things.
Yeah, I agree. I'm pretty great right now too.
What's the most adventurous thing you've ever done?
Oh, I went to adult summer camp.
What?
Yeah, so it was called Camp No Counselors, and because I used to go to summer camp as a kid. There was like a Camp Olympics, like where you like did like a whole like obstacle course thing that ends in a slip and slide. There's like pool time. There's dance parties.
Are people like hooking up at adult summer camp?
I mean, some of them definitely are.
Whoa, that's crazy.
You're like actually sleeping in little bunks. They're called like non-counselors, like the people who kind of facilitate shit. People are drinking like the entire day.
Whoa.
Yeah. Or like partaking in whatever other substances that allegedly may or may not be there.
I would hate that. I really would. That sounds so chaotic.
Oh, it's so fun, and you like get to know people, and they like separate you into like color war teams, and it gets like super competitive. Super fun. Super fun. Yeah.
Not the simulated race war.
Yeah.
Bruh, it's not a race war. Oh my God. You guys never went to sleepaway camp, clearly.
I did. But mine was like a personal growth, like leadership development sleepaway camp.
That did not exist where I grew up.
Yeah, that sounds like almost as traumatic as going to Christian camp, which was also sleepaway camp that I went to.
No trauma. No trauma. It was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
I walked on fire when I was there.
Okay. Is it your turn or mine?
It's your turn.
What's the biggest red flag you've ever gotten on a first date?
Oh, I know exactly what it is. I went on a first date with this guy who sent me an email before the date, like probably a few hours before. And he texted me first, said, "What's your email address?" Which is weird. And I sent him my email address as well. This was right before I went to college. And he was a lot older than me. And so I was like, I don't know why he needs my email, but whatever. I sent him my email address, and I got this email that said, "I have to send you this based on like a settlement agreement that I had in a prior legal proceeding. But before we go out on a date, I have to issue this disclaimer that I am a sociopath and I'm incapable of experiencing guilt, regret, or sorrow. And that was it. That was the whole email. And I don't know what like the story is with that or how that even happens. But yeah, I was an idiot because I was 17 years old and I still went on this date and he was really weird and that was that. But that was definitely the biggest red flag.
You still went on the date?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so remember when 16 and pregnant was like a big thing? Did you realize that all the dudes on that show were like very much significantly older than the girl?
Yep.
And you tried to partake in that same bullshit by going on a date with a sociopath?
I know. I don't know, man. This is like yet again why I always tell people like, don't get married until you are over 25, because that frontal lobe, the second that it gets cooked, like you come online in a way, and this is my personal experience, you see like the whole world differently. Like men, I don't know, your job, what you want, who you are as a person. I look back now at like all these guys that I dated that were older than me, and I was like, I'm so mature, like they just get me. It was predatory, period. Like it just was. And I literally like was not online enough. My brain was not fully cooked enough to grasp that. And we think we know, and we have no idea. And people take advantage of that, and it's so gross. So yeah, I still went on this date with that guy after that red flag because I was like literally a minor. Not great. Anyway.
What the
What's one way you think we're opposites?
Me and you?
Yeah.
Cheyenne filters out like 97% of what I say, whereas she is always very demure and very mindful in her commentary. I am not. And my mouth has always gotten me into trouble, but it's also always gotten me where I need to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't regret it, but I would definitely say you're the sugar, I'm the spice.
We laugh about this a lot because obviously when you make a podcast, there's also like business arrangements and there's situations that have to be resolved. And I'm definitely...
Cheyenne is conflict avoidant.
Yeah.
And I am conflict...
seeking.
It's not seeking, okay?
Rachel is a heat-seeking missile for conflict.
It's not that. I just am not going to like tiptoe around it. Like that takes too long, bruh.
We joke that probably somewhere in the middle between the two of us is like a well-adjusted person. And so maybe that's why it works. But I also think like Rachel, there's part of it that is really good because I'm more likely to maybe let someone do me wrong and keep my mouth shut about it than you are. And I admire that. Like you're immediately like, no, like,
Interesting.
But there's also been times too where like Rachel will come out really hot on something and I'll like call her afterward and be like, you maybe just completely blew that person out of the water. You might want to say my bad. I can tell you were hangry, friend.
Oh yeah. The hangriness is real.
Yeah.
What is your most treasured memory? And then what is your most embarrassing memory that still makes you cringe?
Oh, I think my most treasured memory would have to be something with my grandmother, like before she passed. We did a lot of like really crazy stuff together. We, when my mom was incarcerated and I was living with her, we went to Alaska, like the two of us. And that was like absolutely insane because I was 7. And I'm like watching glaciers melt, and low key, it was like a radicalizing moment because I came online to climate change. But she also took me like whitewater rafting when I was a kid, and that was insane. And we did a lot of like really cool stuff together, her and I. And yeah, I just wish she got to see more of the ride. But my most embarrassing memory, I know exactly what it is that still makes me cringe. And I hate that this is going to come out of my mouth now. But I was taking care of my grandmother during the pandemic. And my cousin Jalissa was one of the few people who was like willing to suspend her life and come help me take care of her during lockdown. And I was still in law school, and law school was on Zoom. I'm trying to manage being a full-time caretaker. And also, like, I was taking care of my mom's pets at the time because my mom was in Canada. So I was like managing her house, taking care of my grandmother, trying to be a full-time law student. It was a lot. There's a lot on my plate. Things were hectic. And I have to leave this education law class a little early and take it from the car so that I can take my grandmother to go get an MRI. And so I switch from my laptop to my phone, and I'm going to go upstairs and put my shoes on. And on my way upstairs, my cousin Jalissa, who is from Stockton, California, and she is Black, so you'll understand maybe the delivery of what she said better with that context. I'm coming up the stairs, and I have the class on my phone, and she goes, Cheyenne, she stops me. She goes, you're not going to believe it. Your mom's dog did all over herself again. It's all on the back of her white fur. We're going to have to clean it off. I can't believe it. This had unfortunately already been happening. So my response was, well, at least we already know how to clean it off. And we'll do that when we get home. I just got to go put my shoes on. We'll take Ma to the doctor, whatever. I run upstairs. I'm putting my shoes on. My phone starts to blow up. I look, I'm getting texts and messages from my friends in the class going, Cheyenne, your mic is on. Mind you, this was during a guest lecture from a preeminent constitutional law scholar who is speaking about this incredible case that is groundbreaking. And he's trying to make this argument that these students in Detroit are having their constitutional rights violated because they have a right to literacy and the schools are so bad that they can't read. So then they can't access their civic rights to vote because they can't read. And it's like incredible listening to him make this argument. And the whole class hears over him speaking, my cousin going, Cheyenne sugar it all over himself. And me talking about cleaning it up, putting my shoes on. I'm clearly not paying attention. Was so mortified. I just logged off the class, and my grandmother and my cousin were like dying laughing. They thought it was so funny, and I was like, I literally have to like drop out. Like, I can't show my face again in this school.
It's funny. People think the weirdest things are embarrassing.
Oh my God, I was so horrified.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be worse if you did on yourself, but like the dog, like cares.
Yeah, I guess I'm like sweating now thinking about it. I'm like, actually, I can feel it because I'm still like cringing. But yeah. Also, Uno reverse card on that one. You have to answer that question. What's your most treasured memory and what's something that still makes you cringe?
So the memory that makes me cringe is like my brother and I, this is when I was really little, we were at the park and like there was this chain fence, okay? And I knew he was not going to be able to clear it and jump over it, but I knew I was. So I'm like, Paul, don't jump over this shit. Go under. So at the same time he's going under, I'm like jumping over and like we hit it and like he gets choked and like I fall.
Wait, how did he get choked?
Because he like lifted the rope. So then I didn't clear it.
Oh.
Yeah, but I always feel bad. My most like cringing memories are all involving me like somehow like my little brother up. Like,
oh, no.
Like one time we were standing. Okay, look, there was like the hood. No. The trunk of the car was open and I like went to slam it and like hit my brother in the head. Oh no. My God, there were just so many times I thought I killed him by accident and like I feel so bad. I was also really mean to him when he was little and like that's something that like not when he was little, when he was like the most annoying little boy. Not even little boy, like pre-man big boy. You know what I'm saying?
Like middle school?
Kind of, but it's not even like middle school. It's like 5th grade to like 10th grade.
Yeah.
Just little boys are extra. Shut the up.
So you humbled him physically.
Oh.
Until you couldn't, I'm
Until
guessing.
I couldn't. Literally the last time my brother and I got in a fight, we were fighting over the Xbox and I had come home from college and we like physically fought. But the thing is, my brother's only 4 years younger than me. So.
And you're small.
I was almost humbled that day and never again.
Yeah, you learned that was not.
Yeah. I don't know if I have a most treasured memory. Because I'm super traumatized, I don't know about my past. Okay, next. What's my catchphrase? Wait, isn't it your turn?
No, I Uno reversed on you, didn't I?
Yes.
Oh, so it is my turn.
Oh, well, either way, I'm going again. What's your is it me or you? It says, what's my catchphrase?
I don't know. We'll just do both.
She gets this wrong,
say you're a Nazi. You're all white supremacists.
It's definitely bruh.
Yeah, it is bruh. That's true.
Yeah, but you're a Nazi is a close second.
Yeah.
I don't know what your catchphrase is. Your catchphrase is Jared will drive me because you don't go anywhere self-chauffeured. You only appear when you have boyfriend transportation.
I hate driving now. I didn't ask for this. Jarrett just started driving me everywhere. And now I'm conditioned this way.
I hate driving too.
What's the best compliment you ever received?
I have no idea.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't have something that sticks out in your mind as wow.
No.
Oh.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Why? Is it because of the person it came from or what they said?
Both.
I guess I'm really conditioned to not receiving external validation. So good or bad, those things kind of actually, I deeply internalize everything bad, but
yeah, I was about to be
things,
girl,
it's really hard for me to accept positive feedback. Yeah. So
that's interesting to note though. You literally don't even remember.
# super problematic. Need more healing. What is the last thing in your phone you took a screenshot of?
Oh God, please don't be weird. Okay. The last thing in my phone I took a screenshot of is I'm going through a job interview process right now for a job I really, really, really want. And they sent out an email telling me that I was moving forward to the last round. And there was one line in the email where they're describing the rest of the process where they said, after this upcoming week, our final candidate, slash candidates, but not slash, it's candidate with parentheses and an S afterward. And I highlighted it and circled it and sent it to a bunch of people and said, what does that mean? And I've been hyper fixated on it for 2 days because I'm trying to figure out if that means, here's the sentence again, after this upcoming week, our final candidates. Does that mean that after this week, they might just be down to one person and then that last stage is just a formality? Or is it a typo, but that's a really specific typo? So I've been trying to figure it out.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Then I realized finally after spinning around on this for a few days that it's not going to change what I do in this interview.
No, exactly what I was going to say. So I was just ooh, okay.
Yeah, so it was kind of a crash out that was a little irrelevant. But I was trying really, really hard to figure it out.
Well.
Yeah. What do you think is the defining issue of our time?
I mean, obviously racial injustice, but because it manifests into all of the other forms of injustice, whether we're talking about economic injustice, climate change, people who are marginalized and to what extent they're marginalized. Yeah. So I think that within at least this era of history, it's defined by race.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I feel and I'm Uno reversing myself to answer this. I feel it to a certain extent, it has to be climate just because the scale of the emergency is so large that if we don't do anything about it and we don't check the forces that are perpetuating this crisis rapidly, then none of this other is going to matter because we're all going to be extinct. But then that's complicated because what's actually reinforcing the climate crisis is the powers of oligarchy that let these people have unchecked power to do basically whatever they want and pursue their business interests at our costs. And then there's a question of, well, democracy, and is the fate of democracy, is that really the core issue? Because those are the levers of power that could put this thing in check. So I don't know. It's a really difficult thing to try and put a fine point on it, but I think it's really hard to not put climate somewhere near the center of it because it's an existential threat to our livelihood on this planet.
What is an unpopular opinion that you actually feel very strongly about?
what is an unpopular opinion that I feel really strongly about? That's like not gonna get me canceled.
I don't know. I feel like veganism is an unpopular opinion.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess my like unpopular opinion is that you can't be somebody that cares really deeply about climate and consume animal products. And so, yeah, I've been vegan for a long time, both for the climate and the water usage and pollution aspects of it, and also because I feel like if we can personally do something that lessens the suffering of other beings on Earth, and we have that ability, then we should do that. So
I recycle plastic bags.
That's my really unpopular opinion, and I never talk about it because people get super uncomfortable. Like, you will not see me posting about it on social media. I don't know if I've ever brought it up on this podcast before. And that's why, because people get really judgy, and people also get really uncomfortable when I tell them my reasoning and my personal like values and beliefs, because they see that as like I'm attacking them. And if that's not your shared worldview, then it's not. And like, that's okay. But sometimes I get in altercations because people will ask me like, why don't you eat meat? Why are you vegan? And then they feel like personally really defensive once I've given like my just honest answer. So I generally just tend to stay out of the discussion because it's really unpopular.
I feel like lots of my ideas are deeply unpopular. I have no idea.
Rachel's like, I'm going to get canceled. I can see it in her eyes. She's like, anything I say right now, I'm literally going to get canceled.
I'm not. You can't cancel the uncancelable. Probably that I shouldn't want someone who like meets everything that I want.
What do you mean?
Like,
oh, I understand. You think that you should only entertain the idea of being in a relationship with someone if they meet every qualification on your list.
Not every qualification, just like
almost all of them.
Basically.
And you like 95%.
And you will fixate on the 5.
It's not that I fixate on the 5. It's just the 95 needs to be really strong. Do you think you've ever not dealt with burnout?
It's honestly a better question for her.
I don't think that was the original question,
it's
was
not,
it?
But like, as someone who is hyper-focused on being successful and creating change, have you ever not dealt with burnout?
Honestly, not like that I can remember. Basically, as soon as I got on my career path, like burnout was right there behind me.
Dude, I was burnt out in high school. I got mono my senior year of high school, like, and that was just after literally a very difficult, it was black for like 3 months. You know, when your body says no and like physically rejects you.
Yes.
Did that ever happen to you before entering the work space?
Yeah. I was an insane person, even when I was like in high school. So I graduated high school early. I did my junior and senior year at the same time. And so I was taking like a double course load because I wanted to be done and go to college. And I got into college at 16 years old and moved out of state and went to University of Denver and started that kind of path and pattern for myself really young. And then that became the pace that I had set. And so anything less than that felt like not enough. And I graduated college early and got into law school. I was the youngest person in my law school and was the youngest person ever to be in the US Senate and one of the youngest people ever to run for Congress. And when that becomes like your standard of operating, you pay like a huge price for that. And I remember I was actually really fucked up when I was turning 25 because I had like made up this story that meant that I was like a full adult. And so I couldn't be considered like a prodigy anymore. Like a lot of my sense of validation was like, I'm so ahead of the curve. Like I'm the young person that's doing all these things and I'm exceptional because I'm only being compared to like these pool of youths and young people. And now I'm an adult. And so it's like what I do isn't impressive anymore because it's all being measured against the rest of the world. And like when that's the mindset that like runs your life, of course you're going to be burnt out because you're not like chasing joy. You're chasing something else completely. And like, I'm still working on that. 100% I'm still working on that. Like, I still don't totally feel okay doing things just because I want to do them and I feel inspired by them. I still have to check my urge to want to earn my right to be alive. And that's so I've been burned out. I've been paying the price with my body for a really long time. And I think a lot of young people are. And there are things that we can do to try and unwind it ourselves. And a lot of it's systemic. Like the world is putting unprecedented pressures on us. And it's not all your fault either. It's not just like you're dropping the ball.
Unless you're a Gen Z man, in which case you are dropping the ball, because why aren't you as good as me? And why aren't you as accomplished as me?
Well, also like that's a whole other long conversation about the way that Gen Z men are like.
But I think it's just men in general, actually.
That's a whole other thing. I think that honestly could be a whole deep dive. Young men and like the direction that they're going.
But also like part of me is like kind of joking, so don't take it so seriously. Why are you so sensitive?
Yeah, I'm like all in my feelings right now. Pretty hurt.
What was the first thing you ever protested?
Oh my God. I already told this story. It was third grade. I wrote a petition with my bestie, Kira, who was this little redhead girl who was also like really, really small. And we had to play this game called British Bulldogs in third grade, where you had to like pick people up in gym class. And I couldn't pick any of those fat motherfuckers up. So I was losing and it was pissing me off. But also, you know, people were just like picking me up and dropping me.
Yeah. It sounds honestly like a worthy cause. And it sounds like the school was taking on an incredible amount of liability, letting kids pick each other up.
Yeah, I got him fired. He was a liability.
You got him fired?
Oh, he definitely did not make it through the year.
Damn.
As he shouldn't have.
Yeah, that is questionable choices.
Also, that name is mystifying. Like, what does that have to do with Britain or Bulldogs?
I have no idea.
It's a good point. Yeah, that's really random.
Yeah, so that was the first time I protested unequal treatment.
Rachel said, "Don't tread on me."
What's the best compliment you ever received?
Oh, it was in there again?
Yeah.
So when I was running for office, I had an endorsement meeting with someone that was an elected state senator. And I was an underdog candidate. People did not take me seriously because I was Gen Z and they didn't think I was going to be able to raise any money. And I wasn't the favorite coming into this race. And first of all, the fact that he even took the meeting to talk to me was huge. But we sat down and we talked for like an hour and he just wanted to know about the process. Like, how did I decide to run? What was I doing to like try and raise money? How was I trying to reach people? And I told him all about how we were knocking doors and how I was cold calling donors for 4 to 8 hours a day. And I told him about the whole process. And there were very many like political realities at that moment. Like he couldn't really go against the party and endorse me. And we both knew it. And that's why him taking the meeting was like kind of crazy. And a lot of people would see it as like a waste of time. But at the end of the meeting, he still kind of sat with me and said, "I understand you now." And I looked at him kind of quizzically and he said, "You're not afraid to do hard things." And that was probably like by far the best compliment I've ever received, because it was so hard and I was so scared the entire time, but I did it anyway. And so I was afraid to do hard things. I pushed through. And so I think even though it didn't come with the endorsement I wanted, and we both knew like really it kind of couldn't, it was something that I still hold on to because he got it and he got me. And I feel like my life is very run by fear. And it's something that I really like, I'm constantly kind of working to change and overcome. And that I'm very much somebody that's like overly cautious and overthinks everything. And so for someone to see that even though that's my operating system, I'm still like willing to do things anyway was really, really cool.
That is super cool. I feel like the big learning thing for me was that I don't have to run in super hot to every situation, because I was kind of ingrained to fight and always I always expect the fight. And you don't always have to present as a wolf. Sometimes it serves you to present as a sheep, and that doesn't take away from your willingness to do hard things or your willingness to fight difficult fights. So that's dope.
Okay, Rachel, home stretch. If you could change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be?
This was the question I didn't want to get. I would change the environment that I was raised in. I feel like definitely during the time when we were growing up, the idea was like the closer you are to whiteness, the better the schools are. And that just led to horrible schooling experiences for me. So I feel like if I was in a more diverse area that still provided an opportunity for good public schools, that would definitely be the thing that I would change.
Yeah.
What about you?
You're going to Uno reverse me?
I mean, sure, I haven't even used these.
I think for me, it would be the justice system. A lot of my like childhood trauma was at the hands of the courts, both the family court system and then also the criminal justice system. Having a parent incarcerated, having like forced visitation, and having a system that like doesn't believe people who experience domestic violence, doesn't believe children that are like afraid, and continuing to force them into situations where they have to experience that over and over and over again because there's this like preconceived idea that, you know, a certain type of family that looks a certain way is better than others, was deeply traumatizing. And it's one thing for the circumstances of a family and a situation and for there to be DV, that's one thing. But for a justice system to continue to like inflict that on like a child growing up was like a whole separate wound that I 100% would have changed.
It's my turn again. If you could invite anyone in the world to dinner, who would you pick?
What do they have to be living or?
Bruh, you wrote these questions.
Well, I'm asking your interpretation.
I already know who I would pick, so I'm just waiting for you to go.
Do they have to be alive or not?
I would pick Tanner Adele because I'm really obsessed with her and I think she's a great singer. Also, she just posted this she shared a series of videos about her experience, her adoption experience and reconnecting with her family. And I just thought it was so beautiful and vulnerable. And I want to hold space and acknowledgement for that. And sometimes, especially when you grow up as someone who has parents that are different races, there's a comfort in just being in the company of other mixed people. So yeah, I would just love to like hold space for her and vibe out.
Yeah.
So can you answer the question now?
You still didn't give me any guidance, so I'll do both ways, I guess. If it has to be like a living person, I'm really torn between someone like Elizabeth Warren that I could like talk policy with and just her journey and how she kind of came up through the ranks and everything, and that versus like the Dalai Lama and like go more like metaphysical with it. And the opportunity to personally pick his brain would be like really profound. And if we're talking dead people, then like Socrates, Marcus Aurelius, Harriet Tubman.
Interesting. I don't even know what to say to that. I was thinking about like some pseudo cult leader who went to see the Dalai Lama and trying to remember which one it was, but I don't even remember.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Are you more likely to be early or late? Late. Facts. I was like, don't even try.
If I make it at all.
Yeah, accurate.
What about you?
It depends on like what the thing is.
She's not driving, so it's really not up to her.
I drove here today, okay?
That's true. I did drive us here today.
Alex was the passenger princess. I drove him.
What are your 3 favorite things about me?
I love that you're strong-willed. I love that you are super open to trying new things. And I love that you like do not care, or at least you don't let other people's opinions stop you from speaking your truth.
I appreciate that. Okay, if I reversed it, I would say the first thing I love about you is your competence. because I think most people are just like painfully incompetent and inadequate and like can't do their jobs well and aren't doing them well. And Cheyenne really does this whole podcast thing very, very well. Like, it is a rare day where I am like the airhead girlfriend who isn't thinking about anything at all and like letting the boy just like walk me down the street. But that's definitely the dynamic that we have with this podcast. The second thing that is my favorite about you is that you're also unable to eat gluten. So that way, all of my like questionable food choices when it comes to like, oh, should I go to like this gluten-free place and like get this thing? Like, you're always supporting it. So it's always like, it's just mutually very nice. My third favorite thing about you is the purpose that you move with. Lots of people kind of aimlessly like waffle around in a circle and don't really know what they want, but you always move with purpose. Like, you're always trying to drive change and looking at different vehicles to do that. Even vehicles that I think are way too much effort, like having to be nice and like be a leader of an organization or like some like that. But like, we need those types of people. So yeah, you being the like corporate nice do-gooder is one of my favorite things because I get to be like the
agitator. You're the problem.
Yes, I get to be the problem.
It is really funny. That made me so uncomfortable. And I think part of the reason it really did is because you picked like two things that I am so deeply insecure about. Not
really?
Yeah. I am constantly, it's way overused, but my like imposter syndrome is that I'm not competent enough and that someone's going to figure it out, that I'm like faking it, and that I somehow ended up here by mistake. And a series of really weird mistakes led me to be where I am. And also that I am like in a moment of transition in my life that feels really purposeless, and people are watching me knowing that I'm just kind of like, or with a sense that I'm coasting and I'm not doing anything that matters, and that I like peaked and I don't have like a purpose. Those are like my problem. And Alex will like can tell you because he lives with me and he
Cheyenne
knows
is
what
about to cry because I said 3 nice things to her. What the fuck, guys?
You said 2 nice things and also that I'm gluten intolerant. So calm down. But it's just really interesting. Like, you picked 2 things that I like probably somehow I'm concerned about most days.
Well, actually, the gluten intolerant thing is like maybe the most important for me because that's the thing that like I'm deeply insecure about.
Oh.
Because I can't control it at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm never worried that like you are going to have more, like that I'm going to have more like food requirements than Cheyenne because this bitch is also a vegan. And it's just so comforting to like, exactly. And that's like a level of acceptance. Exactly. And it's like, all right, we have to pick like this specific restaurant to go to this place. And like, not all gluten-free options are created the same.
No.
So
yeah, that
just like was really, really, big to me, especially being a kid who always had like stomach issues. I will never forget. I was in 5th grade and I farted during the SOL, which is like the standard of learning test. And I definitely like acted like it was the person next to me. But like, hot girls have IBS. Like,
facts.
My stomach has always been up.
Mine too.
And
it also is like traumatized girls. Like, sorry, but that's part of it.
But like, I've also had this deep-seated fear that like I would go to my significant other's house and like their family would have like made something and think I'm uppity because I don't want to eat. But really, it's like,
that happened to me yesterday. That literally happened to me yesterday. Someone brought something to the barbecue we had yesterday and I couldn't eat it. And I felt so bad. Yeah, it was Jared's mom. I felt so bad. It's awful. Can attest. Not great. So I do like that you understand me too.
Yeah, so it was 3 great things about Cheyenne that literally almost made her cry, but whose turn is it now?
I think it's my turn because you reversed it.
Oh.
Is this the last one?
Is it?
The last question. Do you have any phobias?
Y'all, lots of things like... Okay, first, like earwax in your ears. Like, if you've left the house, you should not have earwax in your ears. Like, you should be looking in your ears to make sure, like, you shouldn't have eye boogies either.
It's like a phobia. Like if you,
Like it bothers me
how do you know if someone has earwax
because
in
I'm
their
looking
ears?
at them and like
You're looking in their ears?
I'm looking at everything. If you have like a ton of dirt under your fingernails, that might be a little classist. But if you're a mechanic, maybe it's different. I don't know. I would have to never really been that stage in my life. But yeah.
So your phobias are all like hygiene, cleanliness related.
Yes, but also like British people's teeth. Like
So you will not watch the latest season of White Lotus then?
oh my God, her teeth. Okay, and it's like, I think she's a really cute girl. There's just, I don't know what it is about me and teeth, but like, is that also classist?
Yes. You're just afraid of poor people.
I am not.
You're like, anyone who's not perfectly groomed and can't afford to have braces, I have a phobia of you.
That is not this. No. The way people in Europe's teeth look is not the same as, it's not just that they're crooked. It's that they're brown. Okay? So, no. Mm-mm.
Teeth whitening is also a luxury dental service.
No. If you brush your teeth don't look like that. Like, I feel like people in...
I don't know if that's true. I have to whiten my teeth and I brush my teeth twice a day.
Yeah, bruh, but that's not what I'm talking about. You know exactly. Like, they look like pirate teeth, bro.
Rachel's afraid of poor people and British people.
Oh
is
my
what
God.
I'm gathering.
No, you cannot say that. You cannot say that. No, for real. We cannot have Rachel's afraid of poor people. No. It's not that. And it's not like...
No, it's not. Because it's like, it doesn't necessarily... There's not like a cost impediment to like cleaning your eyes and ears. And like, I get that.
But also, it's because I'm very sensory overloaded all the time. So it's also like very strong smells, whether that be good or bad smells. It's like super loud noises other than my voice.
Yeah.
Too bright lights. My mom used to call me a vampire. It's all the things.
All right.
Phobias.
Well, that was the deep dive into Rachel and I. I hope you feel more acquainted with your hosts, Baddies, because while we do share about ourselves and our lives in the tea, you don't necessarily get the lore, the deep, gritty backstory about who we are and what we like and what we're afraid of that we were striving to give you a taste of here today.
Yeah, so if you have other questions, leave them in the comments, and if anyone comments, maybe we'll ask that question.
Yeah, we might incorporate some more Q&A because I came up with these. I would be really excited to do some audience Q&As.
Some Rachel Q&As, because these were very vanilla. Rachel, and I don't mean white.
If you wrote the questions, we wouldn't be able to use half of them.
Dude, they would still spark great conversation that could be useful.
Audience members, I would like you to ask some questions. And then we will maybe do another Q&A episode.
People
maybe
don't
take
want
a
to know
few
the
in the episodes.
mundane.
When they don't know anything
it's
about you.
provocative. It gets people going. That's what they want.
Oh my God. Okay, that was the deep dive. And now it's time to wrap this up with Rent Free before this train totally gets off the rails. Rachel, what's been living in your head rent free this week?
What's been living in my head rent free this week is all the different ways that my body autoimmune flares. I have a stomach ache right now, and I've been having a stomach ache. And this is just one of the many ways that my body tells me that I'm tweaking. So sometimes that like means that my skin will get like super duper dry. Or it means that like I have tons and tons of headaches. There's all of these physiological experiences that I have when I am not conscious, or I guess consciously tuning out of what my body is experiencing. So the battle for self-care, to bring it all full circle, is what has been living rent-free in my head this week. What about you, Cheyenne?
Yeah. Well, partially that, because, I'm still trying to figure out my very similar kind of trajectory with what may be an autoimmune issue or something. And the science on the fact that what we once thought was like woo-woo and impossible, which is that the way that you feel and the things that you experience in life can have very real impacts in your body, like that's backed by evidence now. Like thousands of studies show that, and that it has a disproportionately large impact on women. And if I don't tread carefully right now, it's just going to become my crash out rent free. And my real rent free this week is that the House passed the SAVE Act, which is a voter suppression bill that is set to potentially disenfranchise like 100 million voters. It's insane. The bill would specifically require anyone registering to vote or anyone updating their registry to bring with them proof of citizenship, and no, a driver's license would not suffice. You would need a passport, a birth certificate, something of that nature. This is a problem for a lot of reasons. We're talking about primarily folks who do not have the free capital and the free time to go down to the DMV to go get a passport, which is minimum $130. And we're also talking about 69 million married women in this country who have changed their name that do not have a birth certificate with the same name matching their passport. And that is something that literally like 69 million women would potentially be unable to vote. This also comes as I saw a resurfaced clip that was like a hot mic between Mike Johnson, I believe, and some other Republican senator, where they're talking about how in a prior election or some special election, voter turnout was very low. And they were making comments about how that would be really good for them if they could continue the trend of voter turnout remaining really, really low. And so that tells you everything that you need to know about the motivation behind the SAVE Act. This is massive, massive voter suppression, specifically aimed at women, people of low income, people of color. Like they're really looking at how they can basically exclude a huge, huge swath of voters from being able to participate in democracy. It's also interesting because it's not super well calculated. There are studies that have found that the SAVE Act may actually end up disenfranchising more of their voters than Democratic voters, because married women, a lot of them tend to actually lean a little bit more conservative because they're older. We're also talking about rural voters who would be disenfranchised because you have to produce these documents at specific voting centers in person. So if you're rural, if you're a farmer, that's a huge burden for you to be able to do that. We're also talking about it's targeting disabled people, right? Like that physically would have a hard time getting there. So all of that is crazy. Even crazier, 4 Democrats voted for this thing. I literally cannot fathom it. And this is, I'm going to crash out really hard right now. And so I need to like put the brakes on this before this becomes like a whole thing. 4 Democrats voted for it. It's shameful. I can't even wrap my brain around that. So that's living rent free in my head. It is really unlikely to pass in the Senate, by the way, but that does not mean that we can take our eye off that ball, because that can always change. So if you want to make your voice heard, you should, and you should send messages to your senators and let them know that this is an absolute disaster and that you do not want to see them voting for the SAVE Act.
Yeah. Word.
All right, Baddies. This was a different kind of week for us, but I hope that you enjoyed it. Our spring break Baddies episode, our detour into, I don't know what this was. It felt a little lawless for me, I'm not going to lie. It felt a little bit out of control. It's not my favorite thing, but I hope that you enjoyed it, and I did this exercise for you. So that's this week. We'll see you next week, Baddies.
Bye, Baddies.